We're looking at a proposal that, it aims to fundamentally redesign human civilization itself.
That's right. This whole deep dive is on the concept of a resource-based economy, or an RBE. And our sources, they mostly come from decades of work by Jacques Fresco and the Venus Project.
Right.
So this isn't just, a small tweak to our current system. The source material calls it a search for a healthier alternative to the money peddling scheme.
And for you listening, our mission is to unpack this. It's a radical idea. We need to do it with some precision. We're going to look at how they propose managing, well, every single resource on Earth.
How governance would work, how you'd live your life without money.
It's a massive thought experiment,
Yeah.
but one that's backed by years of really detailed plans. Okay, let's unpack this.
So, to define it simply, an RBE isn't a political ideology. It's framed as a system of scientific resource management,
Meaning,
meaning you structure civilization around the physical things you actually have, the resources, the technology, and you use that to create abundance for everyone, not, basing it on who has the most money.
okay, so if the goal is abundance for all people, no matter where they are, you have to start with a huge philosophical
A
shift.
foundational one.
The RBE blueprint says the very first step is to declare all the world's resources as the common heritage to all people.
And that declaration, it's everything. The implications are just massive.
Yeah.
If we connect this to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
it means you immediately get rid of all private or national claims to essential resources.
The oil, water, minerals.
All of it. It all becomes part of this common heritage.
I get the ideal, but that kind of shift, moving from national ownership to a universal heritage,
Yeah.
that has to be the biggest hurdle imaginable, right? Who enforces that? And why is it so critical?
It's critical because, as the sources really emphasize, that territorial control over resources, that's the biggest driver of scarcity and conflict.
Because if you control it, you can sell it
Yeah.
or withhold it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If a country's power relies on hoarding a resource, conflict is, well, it's pretty much inevitable. But by taking away the economic reason for fighting, by saying this belongs to everyone already, you change the whole problem.
You're not fighting for a commodity anymore.
Right. It's no longer a geopolitical conflict. It just becomes a logistical challenge.
So you engineer the scarcity mindset right out of the system. The resources are sort of shared assets that need collective management, not contested territory.
Precisely. And that's the necessary first step for the whole global management system to even work. Once money and territory are off the table, it stops being about profit and starts being about science. How much do we have, where is it, and who needs it?
Which brings us to the big challenge. How do you manage all that without market prices? The mechanics of the RBE, they seem to rely entirely on technology and just massive amounts of data.
The key step is the need for these regular, extensive, and continuous global surveys. And this is way beyond just monitoring the environment.
You mean counting everything?
Pretty much. Determining the exact amount, location, and condition like its quality, its lifespan of all physical resources, raw materials, manufactured goods, even waste.
When you say all resources, that sounds like a project on the scale of, mapping the human genome. Where does all that data come from?
Well, the sources note that while the final scope is, yes, very grand, these individual surveys are already happening today, on local and national levels.
Okay.
The technological leap is just integrating them all. We're talking about sensor networks, IoT devices everywhere, satellite monitoring, all feeding into this real-time inventory.
So the challenge isn't the tools themselves, but putting all that information together, synthesizing it. You'd need a huge dynamic data model that's always updating.
That's it. This data gets compiled into a truly extensive global database for maximum efficiency. And this system, probably managed by some kind of specialized AI, would do more than just count things. It would run models, project needs, and optimize distribution paths across the globe.
And running parallel to this global database is the idea of localizing production, right? We're so used to things being made cheaply on one side of the world and then shipped everywhere else.
And localization just flips that whole inefficient model. It uses all that resource data, plus the latest tech-like advanced automated manufacturing, 3D printing, to make things much closer to where they're needed.
And that has two big benefits, both tied to sustainability.
It does. Let's break those down.
Go for it.
Benefit one is quality. Since profit and, planned obsolescence are gone, the focus is just on making high-quality things that last longer, which of course reduces the strain on resources.
And benefit two.
Transportation. Localized production, you just dramatically cut the energy and infrastructure needed to ship things halfway across the world. It's all about maximizing efficiency and cutting waste.
That shift from goods made to fail to goods made to last seems pivotal. If everything lasts for decades, you're tackling the scarcity problem head on.
It creates this closed-loop system where durability and efficiency are the main goals, not sales volume.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. We've gotten rid of the price tag, we've removed the profit motive,
Yeah.
but how do people actually get the things they need? This brings us to these distribution centers, or as the source calls them, libraries.
Yes, and
Yeah.
this is the mechanism that prevents hoarding. It completely replaces the marketplace. You should imagine these centers as these super efficient depots where you can get anything you need.
Anything.
From complex medical gear to a new pair of shoes, you access what you require.
So if I need, say, a special camera for a project, something I'd only use once a year, I just walk in and check it out.
That's the critical condition. It's all based on access, not permanent ownership. The only requirement is that you return the item when you're done with it or if it needs to be repaired.
Ah, so it really is a library model. I check out the tool, use it for my project, and then bring it back so it's available for the next person.
Exactly. And because you have guaranteed access to high-quality goods, the incentive to hoard things just disappears. Why would you clutter your home with stuff you rarely use when you know a perfect, updated version is always available for you?
It ensures every single resource is being used to its maximum potential.
And it's all linked to these huge automated repair and recycling centers. So things are either fixed and put back into circulation, or they're broken down to their base elements to make new things.
Okay, so the system is all about utilization and flow, not static personal wealth. If you take away economic constraints, that must totally change human labor and governance.
Let's start with labor, because for the individual, this is maybe the most exciting part. The source material is clear. Any task that is repetitive, mundane, dangerous, it's all done by machines. Robots, digital systems, all designed for those specific functions.
So the whole concept of working just to earn money to live,
Yeah.
that's gone.
It is. And the result is this human freedom. People are free to actually pursue their interests, to learn, to create, to do research, or make art. Your value isn't tied to your tedious job anymore.
And that shift in labor, it has to lead directly into the political structure. I mean, if you get rid of money and mandatory work, you don't really need traditional politics, do you?
That's where governance shifts completely to what they call a scientific way of resource management. The people making the decisions are not politicians or monarchs.
Who are they?
They're digital systems, technical specialists, engineers, and scientists.
That sounds like a pure technocracy. How is that any different from other authoritative systems we've seen?
The key difference, according to the source, is the basis for the decisions. They are purely informed decisions based on verifiable, real-time data and objective constraints. But what's really fascinating is that the whole structure is built on the scientific method itself.
How so?
The systems and the people, the scientists, they have to explicitly accept that their work can always be improved, or even proven wrong by new data. That acceptance of being wrong is defined as the essence of research and development, and it's built right into how the system operates.
So it's designed for constant self-correction, not self-preservation, which is usually the goal of political systems.
Exactly. And tying it all back to that common heritage idea, because resources are vital for survival and belong to everyone, distribution is universal. The system allocates resources based on objective need, not personal opinions or some kind of social credit score. It's a mechanism for sustaining life.
To make this whole model work, you'd need incredibly reliable infrastructure, especially for energy and mobility.
Absolutely. A society this complex can't afford blackouts. The RBE focuses on sustainable energy by optimizing for local conditions.
So using whatever's best for a specific region, geothermal, solar, wind.
Right. It's tailored to the landscape to maximize output and create a resilient, decentralized grid. No one-size-fits-all solution.
And mobility, getting around.
The physical constraints we're used to, like borders, they basically become irrelevant. In a unified world that manages resources together, they just don't have a function anymore, so people can move freely.
And the transportation itself would need to be hyper-efficient.
It would, diverse and optimized. A seamless mix of personal electric vehicles and much faster public transport systems. The source also mentions implementing systems to minimize any kind of human tampering with crucial city functions like power or waste management to ensure it all just works all the time.
You know, when you lay it all out, It's hard not to acknowledge the sheer scope of it all. It sounds less like economics and more like, I don't know, a blueprint for a new species. It sounds, frankly, a bit too good to be true, doesn't it? Given the total overhaul required.
It does, but the source material is really adamant that this isn't just a theory. They maintain that the technical blueprints for all of this, from the databases to the production facilities, they already exist. They've been developed for decades.
So if the technical plan is there, what's the real hurdle? What's the one thing standing in the way of this resource-based economy?
At the end of the day, it's always the human factor. The required hurdle is a fundamental shift in our cultural mindset. You need a critical mass of people who actually demand this change, and then the collective will to achieve it, and, just as importantly, to preserve it.
So the tech is solvable. It's the social inertia that's the real challenge.
It always is.
This raises an important question then. We talked about how the governance relies on scientists and systems making objective decisions based purely on data. And we said its defining feature is accepting that today's best decision can always be proven wrong tomorrow.
Right, it's built on that idea of perpetual, scientifically driven refinement.
So, if the very stability of this society is rooted in the constant acceptance that the current solution might be flawed or temporary, if the whole thing is built on the inherent uncertainty of research, how does a society like that handle the perpetual instability that defines real science? Does all that constant self-correction lead to constant societal chaos? Or does the objective data somehow create a new, more resilient kind of stability